Okay. Hello, powerful creators. I have it recording now, so that's all good. Welcome to my beautiful friend, Caroline Southwell. Yay. We were talking the other day about values, and I said, you need to do an interview with me about this for my community and tell them. So here we are doing it.
Yeah, so I mean, yeah, you and I, I guess for a preface for the community, speak every 2 or 3 weeks. And sometimes I know that the stuff that we talk about in the conversation, I'm like, we should be recording this conversation that we just have between two friends because it's so freaking helpful for other people.
Yeah.
So we were talking about values. I had just done recently, I had been revisiting Dr. John Demartini's work. And I had done his values elicitation process of like finding out what my highest values are. And they tend to change over time. So it's good to do it periodically. And I remember saying to you, Ilka, I said, if I read out my top values, you're just going to laugh because you're like, well, of course they're the things that are most important to you. And I was finding it really helpful to revisit that because, and I know that some of your audience will resonate with this. I find that I am very capable of doing a lot of things. And that sounds great in theory, like I'm clever and I learn quickly and I can grab the ball and run with it on lots of different things. It's like, well, Caroline, what's your problem? Well, the problem is that there's too many things I can do. And it's like standing in the middle of an oval going, I can walk any direction from here. Which way do I go? Which is the right way. And it's like, oh, well, hang on. I could go any of those and any of those would be okay. But what was really helpful in doing the values exercise this time is it helped me come back to what I well and truly value and put above other things that I wasn't necessarily consciously aware of. I could have guessed, like my guess would have been fairly close, but it was really good to see them written out and go, okay, right. For me, running and adventures and exploring and traveling is like the highest. And it's easy to go, oh, well, business is highest. Yeah, but if it's not, you can't lie to yourself, right? So, it helped me to have some clarity and go, okay, the right way forward for me is actually the way that is most in alignment with my highest values, which, if we look at, the work of other people, like I think of Gay Hendricks and The Big Leap and other people who talk about follow your joy or follow your bliss or go with ease and flow. They're all saying different things that all lead to the same place.
Yeah.
And what I realized is that whilst Caroline can do so many different things, it was about what is actually going to bring me the most joy. What do I most want to do? And it's like, oh gosh, run on trails in the mountains. That's what I most want to do. And then like learn cool stuff about myself and other humans and then write and speak about it. So then all of my insights I can help other people with. And that showed up in my values, right? Yeah. So then I can, by knowing what's most important to me, I can then take anything that I have been trying to do or meaning to do and link it to my highest values, which is another thing that I had learnt through John's work, Dr. John Demartini's work.
Yeah, explain that process because that's an excellent process to do.
Yeah, anyone who's really into this work, I highly recommend that you put on your list to go and see, to go and do at some point the Breakthrough Experience with Dr. John Demartini. It's a weekend, a very big weekend, where he runs through a lot of this stuff. So I was fortunate enough to do 2 of those 6 weeks apart a few years ago. And so all of this stuff is his work, and you can definitely read more. And in fact, if you want grab a book and the do-it-yourself version, the book to get is The Values Factor, and that runs through this process that I'm talking about. So just to make sure I give credit back to John, because he's done so many years worth of research and worked with tens of thousands of people on this work. And so basically, after you go through the values elicitation process, which you can get out of The Values Factor, the book, then you're clear on your highest. I mean, I've written down my highest 5, but what really packs a punch is the first 2 or 3, the highest. And then if, for example, like say you want to increase your wealth, right? Then you would write a list of all of the ways that your highest value, so I'll use mine for example. My highest value at the moment is running and going on active adventures. So I would write a list of all of the ways that building wealth will help me to run and go on more active adventures. Because what I'm doing then is I'm linking the thing that I want more of in my life to the thing that I have already said is the most important to me right now.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter whether or not, you know, anyone who's watching this, it's fairly likely that your highest value is not running on mountain trails and going on adventures. But it might be being a fabulous mother, or it might be your highest value might be writing, or it might be art, or it might be cooking, or whatever it is, whatever your highest value is. And once you've worked that out, do the values elicitation process, because it is going to be different to what you expect. Even though I have a really high level of self-awareness, I never bother trying to guess what my values are. I just do the values elicitation process, because John has created that in such a way that you're not guessing what is important to you. You're just analysing your own behaviour. So it helps to bring the unconscious and make it conscious. So I really appreciate that. And there's so many teachers and there's so many methods now for bringing the unconscious and making it conscious. But any process that does that is always super helpful. So I found it really helpful from and I've done this process a few times since I saw John on stage, and I think I saw him in 2013. And whenever I'm reminded of it, I realise how helpful it is. So it's something that I revisit periodically. Yeah.
So how do you think that, like, the main benefit of doing that for people? What's the main benefit of doing it?
The main benefit of linking them?
Yes.
Well, and first making sure that you have your correct, like what is correct values for you, because otherwise you're linking something that might not be your highest value. But the benefit of linking is that, my understanding is that you're actually linking and creating new neural pathways. So you have this thing that you think you want, like, and it could be as simple as like, oh man, I've been putting off my tax and I really need to get it done. But you look at your values and there's nothing on there that says bookkeeping or systems or money or anything. And you're like, how the heck am I going to get it done when, like, my top 5 are like art and cooking and looking after my babies and whatever. What was that?
That would be mine. I wouldn't have those things on there.
Yeah. And so you go, okay, well, how the heck am I going to get it done, right? And so you can mess with your own value system. Like, you can change it. And the cool thing is that you're in charge of that. It's your brain. So if you're going to go and mess with your values, then you get to choose to do that. And so, you know, if you're putting off doing your tax, but you're like, shoot, I really need to do it, then you can link, how will getting my tax and my reconciles and what, you know, all my receipts, how will getting that in order help me to do value number 1?
Yes.
And so link it with, you know, 30 to 50 ways that doing your tax will help you on value number 1, and then go and do it for value number 2, right? Yeah. And so if you do 30 to 50 on each, you will have rewired your brain and you will find it easier to do your tax, you know?
Yeah. So for you, for example, you could say, when I'll get my tax done and then I'll run. Would that be an example, or how would it work for you?
Well, actually, one of the things that you and I were talking about the other day was this stuff around routine and structure. Do you remember how we were both kind of freaking out going, no, I hate structure, don't tie me in, right? And so I went and did a Demartini method for around the benefits to me, and I was thinking in terms of my top 2 or 3 values, the benefits to me of having routine and structure.
Yeah.
And so I just sat there until I had 50. And I just wrote and wrote and wrote and wrote and wrote. And at the end of it, I was like, oh, routine and structure are awesome. Okay, how am I going to start implementing routine and structure into my life? And I had so many realizations. I realized where I had fears. I realized the way that I want to do routine and structure that's different to other people. I realized why routine and structure felt awful. Like I could see stuff from childhood where I was like, oh, routine and structure meant that I had to like go to the bus stop and wait for the bus at the same time every morning and the other kids would pick on me. Well, of course that's painful. Oh, routine means that I have to sit on a bus with other kids that throw stuff at me on the 45-minute bus ride home. I'm like, that's painful, right? So I had linked. Yeah, exactly. So you can use different processes to unlink stuff. And more what I'm finding, Ilka, is that I like to be able to take a combination of like faster EFT and Christine Marie Sheldon stuff and Demartini stuff. And basically I'll use faster EFT or Christine Marie Sheldon stuff or even Ho'oponopono. And I'll use that to unlink stuff, to allow myself to feel the emotions, to allow what has been to have space. And to let it go. And then I'll use the more mental processes, this like highly rational cognitive version of Demartini's work, and then use that to wire in something new. But I like to give space to the emotions and allow myself to feel the anger or the shame or the fear of feeling trapped, and allow myself to feel that and then go, okay, all right, yep. I did have that, and I did have this pattern, and it did serve me up to this point, and now I'm ready to let it go. And having some ceremony around actually feeling that and then letting it go, and then going, right, now I'm ready to write a new way to do this. So I'm ready now to write a new way to do routine and structure because I use this process. And I allowed myself to feel the feelings of the fear and feeling trapped and seeing where I learned it from and gaining the wisdom in having had those experiences, and then going, okay, now I'm ready to write something new because I made space for the old. So when I do this list writing, that I always suggest to people, and when I do this with my clients, I'm like, okay, it's going to feel like you're trying to climb up a freaking mountain, right? It is like a mental like equivalent of being in the gym with a PT who's like, 8 more reps, let's go, another minute on the plate, let's go, right? It's freaking hard, like I won't lie. But what I do is I treat it like a game. And this is what I say to my clients. It's going to be hard. That's okay. You know how to sweat and work hard to, get up a hill or, do another round on, lap of the wherever you're running or whatever. You know how to do that with your body. So do the same thing with your mind. And it's easier if you treat it like a game. I said, when you're writing these things, these reasons why this thing that you've been putting off is going to help you do this thing, which is your highest value. I'm like, don't think about it like a 30 or 40 something year old sensible adult. Imagine that you're a 5-year-old.
Yeah, that's cool.
Like, what would the 5-year-old version of you say is like a good reason that this could help this? Because they're going to come up with all sorts of things that the adult rational mind is going to go, oh, that's not a good enough reason. Oh, that's not a good enough reason. Oh, that's a bullshit reason. Oh, I can't possibly include that. And so I want to shut up that mind as much as possible because it just gets in the way. Whatever a 5-year-old thinks, the 5-year-old version of you thinks is good enough, then as a reason to link the two, it's good enough.
And
that's my approach.
Yeah, and that's why it's good to write more than, more than 5, 10, like do the 20, 50, the list. That's the reason that Demartini is telling people to do that massive list, because then that kind of takes that part of your mind offline as well, because it gives you permission to write a lot, like journaling or something.
Yeah. And I've heard people say before that there's a tipping point around 33, 35 reasons. And there must be, I don't know neurologically what happens, but it's like somewhere around there you tend to tip. But what I say to clients is shoot for 50 And you'll know when you're done because it will feel different. You'll be like, you'll have a wake up moment where you go, oh my God, routine and structure is awesome. Okay, cool. How do I integrate this now? Like, how do I implement this now? Right.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I suggest to people to do 50 and I go, but you're done when you're done.
Yeah.
And if I, for myself, if I reach that point at 30, I go, I'll do 35 just to be safe. But if it takes me till 50 to reach that point, then I go, okay, I did my 50 and I can feel that I'm done. But if for some reason, I don't think it's happened where I've got to 50 and I haven't felt like it was done. It usually clicks somewhere between 30 and 50. But the trick is to treat it like a game.
Okay. So just to wrap up, how then, once you've done that, how do you implement that? Then how does it just naturally kind of, you know,
it naturally happens.
Take action.
It's easier to take action, right?
Yeah.
So the work is actually rewiring your brain, and then you'll notice that there are other things that are simpler to do. And when you realize that your next step is easy, when previously, like a week ago, a day ago, it was really hard, we'll take that next step, right? So you will be able to see what the next steps are, and they'll be the things that you've been meaning to do for ages. But it's like me with, like, I just did a whole lot of zero reconciles, right? So that's why I thought of the tax example. And because I had overcome some of my stuff around structure and like being on top of my numbers and stuff, it was just easier to sit down and do it. Like it's just naturally, I'm like, oh, I could do zero reconciles right now. Okay. And I just did it because it was easier. So
that's great.
So the work is really rewiring your brain, and you'll know if, I always say that you know when the inner work has worked because you see things change on the outside, or you see your behavior change. So I know when my behavior changes, then something has shifted on the inside.
Yeah, awesome. So we encourage everybody to give that a go.
Yeah. And if you want more info on it, look up Dr. John Demartini, and maybe you can put a link somewhere.
I'll put a link
that's got the correct spelling. And the book that you're looking for is The Values Factor. He's read and had ghostwritten a lot of books, but the Values Factor has all of those details in there that you can literally walk you through all that stuff that we just talked about.
Because I don't think you can do enough of this kind of work. Like, it's always going to be of benefit.
Always. Yeah.
And as you said, it can keep changing too. So
our values will keep changing as we go through life. So I've watched my sister's values just change significantly in the last 12 months because she had a baby, right? Yeah. So prior to that, you know, her family life wasn't as important. Now it's like it's super high on her values because she has, you know, a very dependent 1-year-old. So, you know, we go through life and different things happen. We gain family members, we gain partners, we lose family members, we lose partners, we change countries, we change social groups. So, you know,
update.
We know this. We're always changing. the only thing we can rely on. We're always going to change. But what we can always do is increase our level of self-awareness, and then through that, I think, have a happier, healthier life.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, thank you so much. That is going to be super helpful for everybody. And we encourage everyone to, check all that work out of Demartini. It's fantastic. So, All right.
Awesome.
We'll say
all
goodbye.
Right. Ciao.